Michael Phelps is widely regarded as one of the greatest athletes of all time. He captured 28 medals, including a record-setting 23 gold medals, and set 39 world records over the course of his career. Michael utilized his performance bonus from winning 8 gold medals in 2008 to establish the Michael Phelps Foundation, which promotes water safety, mental and physical health, and the pursuit of dreams. Michael's advocacy for water safety and mental health have earned the recognition of the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, American Image Awards, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, and PR Week, among others. Please welcome to the stage, Michael Phelps.
Woo! 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 Hey, Michael. Nice to meet you. Woo! We have Michael Phelps in the house, people.
Good to see live
How
faces.
excited is that, right?
Good to
So
see real people
excited.
in person.
Isn't it nice? Yeah, we've
It
kind of
is.
missed that over the last couple of years. They're just being together. And so we're just going to have a little conversation here, and then we're going to give you all a chance to answer some Q&A as well. So I'm sure you may have your questions already lined up, but if you think of anything, we've got mics kind of on either side of the camera. So when we're ready, I'll invite you up and feel free to ask Michael anything you'd like. So, but before we do that, I'm going to ask you a couple little questions here and kind of get the party started. So, you know, Michael, your pursuit of the Olympic dream involved so many attributes of discipline, of leadership, of perseverance, and really just a passion for excellence. And those are the same kinds of attributes that we have to show, you know, within healthcare IT. So I was wondering, can you kind of talk about how you continue to realize your dream while experiencing challenges and opportunities, and kind of what kept you going?
Oh, man. Well, it wasn't always easy, but it was always fun. You know, like everything that I was doing inside of the pool, it started with a dream, a goal, so you will. So from a very young age, I, you know, wrote my goal sheet, wrote everything down on my goal sheet. That's what I would look at every single day. Why am I getting out of bed on days where I don't want to get out of bed? What am I doing? Putting small steps, or one step in front of, I get ahead of myself sometimes. Putting one step in front of the other and trusting the process. For me, that's what it was, because I had seen results in my career at an early age, and I just trusted my coach. You know, for me, I was very lucky to have a coach who believed in me. And yeah, we kind of just started off on that journey, and it was a fun journey. But like the ups and downs, I think for me, on the days where I didn't want to do it, I would always try to look for that 10, 20, 30% out of that day instead of having a 0. Yeah. So again, yeah, just baby steps forward, because I know my goals weren't things that I could just achieve overnight.
Yeah, it's a process.
Yeah,
but having that goal in mind and just continuing to work for it. And I love that comment about 10% is better than 0, you know, so you just kind of keep going.
We always thought, you know, okay, I guess I'll say this. Who feels 100% when they get out of bed every day? Wow, that is awesome. There's usually always one, but thank you.
We've had a long week, yeah.
Right, but like, you know, like I just feel like on those days where we are sore, we're tired, we had a bad night or a bad sleep, or, you know, how can I get one little baby step forward? Like I don't like taking steps backwards. So you try to look at the small things and simplify things, break it down as simply as you possibly can, and kind of just go from there.
Yeah, you have this phrase that you've used, that it's okay to not be okay. Right? And I think a lot of times people ask us how we are, and we go, oh, we're okay. Yeah. You know, when maybe we're really not okay. So can you talk about that a little bit?
I think one of my favorite things is, like, I always ask them, like, how are you today? And they're like, fine. And you're like, fine. No. For me, I have something that fine stands for freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. And we have a saying that you can only be fine on Mondays. But it's okay to not be okay. For me, was something that through my journey and through my struggles, I love because, throughout everything that I've been through, the ups and downs and the depression, not wanting to be alive, all of these different feelings for me were scary. And for me, being able to go through those challenges and experiences, I guess, and learn more about who I am as a person and how I work, for me, led me to that. It's okay to not be okay, right? Like, I'm trying to be my authentic self every single day. What does that look like? Do I struggle with depression? Yes. Do I struggle with anxiety? Yes. Is it going to go away tomorrow? No. So how can I welcome it into my life and just making sure I pay attention to it. I'm listening to my feelings, my emotions, and things that are coming up, and I'm not stuffing them down. For me, I make the joke that I feel like I could have won a few more gold medals in compartmentalizing, but that's not really something to be proud of. But yeah, I think opening up and talking about things, I think it gives us the opportunity to grow and learn, and I think every day, for me, that's what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, and health disparities are very real, in organized sports. We also, see them in healthcare. And, can you maybe talk a little bit more about some of the barriers and inequalities and privileges that you've seen, along the way, and how you're hoping to address this through the Michael Phelps Foundation?
So I opened the Michael Phelps Foundation back in 2008. I received $1 million bonus from an old sponsor, and I instantly put it into the foundation because I wanted to teach the importance of water safety. For me, that was the reason why I started swimming. My mom put us in the water strictly for that reason. But two, we then grew to opening to healthy and active lifestyles, but really, I guess, just and the pursuit of dreams, but being able to break it down in different ways. So for me, I broke it down into looking at your 8 basic emotions, and I have 3 young kids. So for me, I'm trying to get them to communicate and open up as much as I possibly can, so they're not carrying this excess weight throughout life. So their emotions, I want to know why they're feeling mad, sad, all of these different things. And I think being able to understand that at a younger age gives you more tools to be able to handle anything that comes your way in the future. So, for me, being able to see some of these kids overcome their fears, whether it's in the pool or whether it's talking about something uncomfortable, being able to break down those barriers and feel comfortable in your own skin. I can say, personally, for a long time, I saw myself as a swimmer and not a human being, not a person, just literally this pretty good athlete that, yeah, you just get in the water and go. Yeah. But I like who I see in the mirror now. I used to not like that, and that's because of me going through and understanding my 8 basic emotions and talking about them. If I'm uncomfortable, I'm talking about it. And yeah, it's hard, but honestly, for me, I've felt that I can drop my shoulders now, and I'm okay with being who I am. I like who I am. I'm okay in my own skin.
Yeah. Yeah. And that takes a lot to get there, because
little by little, yeah.
A lot of us are, like you said, it's a journey, right? It's not just, I'm going to be something else tomorrow. I just want to be myself and all dimensions of myself, whatever, good, bad, whatever that looks like. Yeah. So, regarding change, we've certainly had a lot of it over the last couple of years, and there's really a lot of it, going on in healthcare for a number of reasons. And so, you've talked about how facilitating change is not a one-person job. So can you talk about, how does advocating for change look like, from your perspective?
For me, being able to open up and share my journey through mental health, people always ask, what are you doing now? Mental health. That's literally it. That's all I'm doing. This is a part of who I am, and it's a part of my everyday struggle. And I know there are people out there that are struggling just like I am. So how can I help them? How can I help them get the help they deserve and the help they need? Or just gear them or help steer them in the right direction. Look, this is something that I was completely lost about, when I really started on this path a few years back. And I don't know all the answers, but I'm figuring out more and more answers. And I want to be able to teach and grow this topic as much as we possibly can. This stigma has to go away. We have to break it down. And if we don't, we're going to lose more and more lives. And I don't like that. I don't like seeing the suicide rate completely go up.
Yeah.
So we need to work together in order to lower that.
Yeah.
And it's, I think going through this pandemic, I think has taught us so much. I think for me, it's taught me to be mindful of others, right? Like, we don't know what other people are going through. They don't know what I'm going through. But, just being able to take that step back and through wearing the mask, like, I would always try to have light eyes because I want to smile at people. I want to say hello, but, like, it was a crazy time. So, like, also through the pandemic, understanding loneliness. I feel like loneliness has struck our lives more than anybody could possibly imagine. And loneliness leads to depression. So for me, like, I want to change the mental health world. How does that look? I don't know. But I want to do absolutely anything in my power to help anybody out there who is struggling, because I know what that feels like. It's scary. It's overwhelming. It's scary to not want to be alive. And I want to help whoever's going through that find the help they need.
Yeah, because you just don't know. When you meet someone, you don't know what they're going through. Yeah. We watched you so many years in races, Olympics, other national and international events. And one thing I think we all had to fall in love with was your mom, up in the stands, and just the extraordinary support, that she provided. Can you talk about how her support, has influenced your success, and also, how did it affect your decision to sort of give back through the Michael Phelps Foundation?
Well, my mom has been in education, gosh, it's got to be close to 50 years now, 40, 45 years. So for me, I always wanted to teach. I wanted to teach the things that I've taught, I've picked up along the way. My mom is the most influential person that I honestly have ever been around. She has taught me absolutely everything that I know today. Being able to watch her through everything that she did growing up, no matter it was working 2 different jobs or trying to make sure she was going back to school to get her doctorate. She had all of these different things going on. But she always showed me that anything was possible. And I think that was something that was so important for me, being able to get through the hard times. Right? She was always that person to help. I don't know, it's hard. I always feel so weird talking about my mom in front of everybody.
It's like
I love
we
her
all
to
know
death.
her. It's like she's our mom.
Yeah, you guys probably know her more than, you guys saw her more on TV than you saw me. She was everywhere. No, but she's the best, and I'm bummed that I don't see her as much as I used to, now that we live across the country from one another. But she is the woman who made me who I am today, and being able to try to have positive impact. That's what I want. I want to try to change the world, however that looks. I feel like there's a lot of things inside that, I think we were talking about this backstage, like there's so much that I want to get out, and I always feel like I'm missing some of the things. So if I'm scatterbrained, I apologize, guys.
Oh, no, it's...
I get very excited when I talk.
Yeah, we love that. We love that. You're the dad of 3 beautiful kids, and just, sharing something from backstage. Michael's dealing with the same thing we all do when we have young kids, of what do I bring my kids home, from the trip. So, but at any rate, what has fatherhood taught you about the importance of mental health and work-life balance?
For me, I grew up, I didn't have a father really growing up. My parents separated at a very young age, and I was never really around him. Or he was never around us. But for me, the biggest thing I think is patience. Not having a dad, I guess I don't really know how to be a dad, so I'm kind of learning this whole process, and it's been one of the greatest processes in the world. Being able to take, baby steps back to understand what they're going through, their emotions, their feelings. My wife and I worked with Nemours Health this year, and being able to understand different ways to, whether it's to get something out of your kid, right? Like, I'm always like, yeah, how was school? Fine. You're like, no, that's not it. Like, tell me something else. What'd you have for lunch? Lunch? You're like, seriously, dude? So it's just like little things like that, because it's like, I want to be able to get as much information as I can, and I want them to just talk, have communication. So, I think being able to learn these different things for me is always an eye-opening experience, and challenging at times, but that's what I live for every day, right? Like I wake up every single day trying to get this little much better, like get that much better. If I can do that, then I'm improving. And again, we talked about it earlier. I don't like taking steps back. So it's small, simple things that have really, I guess, just helped me try to live in the moment. You know, I feel like when we look at kids are so good at living in the moment. And I feel like we as adults can learn so much from just watching and being around them. So for me as a dad, it's been a dream come true. Yeah, they know how to push my buttons better than any human on this planet. But I wouldn't change it. There's nothing greater than, you know, when I'm having a bad day and, you know, I voice that to my kids and they just come up and give me a hug.
Oh.
You know, like those things like that. Like for me, I see them understanding emotions and feelings. And they're so much farther ahead of where I was at that stage, and that makes me so proud.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, I think a lot of us may wonder, you know, what does a typical day look like for Michael Phelps? You come here, you do with a few people.
No, it depends.
Yeah.
I travel a little bit more now. Obviously, the last few years have been crazy for everybody. But I guess the typical day for me can look like a dark cloud or a sunny day, depending on what kind of mood I'm in when I get up. And some days are challenging than others, but typically my day starts at 5 o'clock, 5:30. I just naturally get up out of bed. I work. I'm on the phone all the time, figuring out what other things we can do, what other places we can go. One of my other really important things that I have to do every single day is a workout. For me, a workout is the only way that I'm allowed and able to be my own self. I don't feel like me without that workout, without that sweat every single day. So that self-care is something that's super important. Other than that, it's just kind of hanging out. I don't know. I don't really know. It's different. It's way different from what it was when I was swimming. You know, if you think about when I was swimming 10 workouts a week. I was in the water for 30 hours out of that week and doing dry land and weights and all of this and that, and then I was sleeping. But now I actually like walk around and I use my legs. I'm kind of a fish out of water, so it's been a good little process learning my way on land.
You know, you've done a zillion of these interviews and obviously lots of opportunities in the media, but can you tell us something that about yourself that would completely surprise us?
I mean, the media knows pretty much everything on the planet about me.
And they make things up.
Yeah, and they'll make it up too. So I think one of the weird things, I think it's weird, is I don't like pickles. I think that's something that I always think is really strange. And for the longest time, we had somebody that was leaving a jar of pickles on our front door, like during the holiday season, and I don't know if it was out of like a sick joke, or like if they were actually just giving everybody pickles. So it was confusing. But I think that's the one thing, I mean, that I would say is probably weird or different about me. That's what I think. Everything else is I'm pretty normal. Like honestly, I like to watch golf. I like to play golf. I don't like to eat, but that's just because throughout my career, I've been forced to eat so many different calories and so many different things that I want to eat what I want when I want it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, nothing crazy. Just a normal person.
You know, you touched on this earlier that, there's been a public stigma, which has really been a barrier to preventing people from talking about their mental health issues and really coming forward and talking about them. And, did you have reservations sort of coming forward and talking about your mental state and telling people that you weren't okay?
Yeah, I think for a long time, it was really easy to kind of hide and not really talk about it. But I think I got to a point where I was just sick and tired of hiding. And I wanted to be who I was, and I didn't care if somebody called me weak or somebody called me this or that for the things that I was opening up about, because I wanted to be happy and I wanted to feel free. And until I was able to get all of my stuff out into the open, I didn't feel like I could be that way. So, thinking back to it, when I opened up in 2014, it was during a Sports Illustrated preview for the 16 games, and whatever the reporter asked me, I just spilled everything out. Like, I wasn't supposed to talk about anything. I wasn't going to talk about anything. But whatever he said, however he asked that question, it brought absolutely everything out of me. And I was just ready. I think that was the biggest thing. I was ready to talk about it. And again, I didn't care what people thought. That was my biggest thing because, again, I want to feel normal. I want to feel like I know how to feel. So me kind of just getting everything into the open, I felt like a new person.
Yeah. You know, you touched on this, but burnout is very real, and especially, you know, it happens in sports. It happens certainly in healthcare. You know, we've been through quite a few years together with COVID. But you know, did you experience burnout? You know, as an athlete, and sort of how did you manage, you know, the mental and also the physical challenges when you just didn't want to get out of bed?
Yeah. I don't think there was any burnout, so to say. I mean, I would say I probably, I don't think there was at all. I think for me, everything was just so simplified and broken down into the babyest forms that I was always focusing on something. And that little thing made that big of a difference, right? So, you know, one thing like Bob, my coach, who we spent 20 plus years together, he kind of knew me better than I knew myself. So he kind of knew when to push and how to push, and we did trial and error throughout our whole entire career, and I think that's the reason we had the success that we did.
Yeah. You know, with based on your experience sort of dealing with mental health issues and some of the stigma and biases around that, this is an amazing audience of health, you know, IT professionals and healthcare leaders. How would you suggest, is there anything that you know, this group can do, or even us as individuals, you know, how can we be part of the solution, you know, to help address this? And is there anything we can do more of or differently, do you think?
I mean, I think the biggest thing, like one thing I've learned is communicating. Communicating is something that's so important. And you know, for me, I make the joke, I learned how to communicate at the age of 30. But really just being able to open up, I think, is something that's so important. So if we can encourage people to open up, to try to get them down the path or the road where they can find the help that they deserve and they need. I think that's the most important thing, because I think, you know, for me, I can speak when I'm in that moment or that state, I feel like I'm all alone. I feel like I'm the only one on the planet that's going through this, but I know in reality I'm not. So, you know, but it's so hard, and those of you who understand what I'm talking about, you know, in that moment it can be very overwhelming. So, yeah, communication is something that saved my life, and I think that's the only way that we're going to break through the stigma. You know, like over the last 5 years, yeah, we've started talking about mental health, but prior to that, all we did was shove it under the rug. So let's continue to rip this Band-Aid off and talk about these things, because that's the only way we're going to help one another. We can't do it by ourselves. I don't like using the word can't, because it's such a negative word, but we can't do this by ourselves. We need the help from everybody. It's the only way we're going to get through it.
We all make a difference.
100%.
Yeah. You know, we just finished watching the Winter Olympics, and you know, we saw some instances where athletes just didn't perform up to their own personal expectations, or maybe to expectations of others, and you could just see and feel the mental anguish, you know, that they were going through. You were able to really, at least it appeared, consistently excel under the spotlight. Your gold medals prove that. But what do you think is important to being able to overcome, you know, the challenges, the pressures, you know, of competition, and what would you say to those athletes that, you know, were struggling?
I might not be the one to ask for this.
Yeah.
My thing always was is I put more pressure on myself than any other person or thing could put on me. So for me, it was making sure that I was taking care of everything that I needed to do. What was, like, for me, it's what can I control in your everyday life? And if I'm controlling those things to the best of my ability, then everything else will take care of itself. And again, it's trusting the process.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that I, again, learned super young, and or I guess I just bought into it. and saw results really early and was like, oh, okay, this is it. Just got to swim for a few hours and try really hard, sleep, eat, and that's all you got to do? Sweet, I'm in. Yeah, that sounds like a fun job. And it was. But yeah, I mean, I think, in the moment, like the biggest thing for me, I always said for, first-time Olympians, the Olympics is the same, right? Your venue is the same exact venue that it is in every other pool or track and field, every meet you go to. The lane lines are the same width, the water was the same temperature, my competitors were the same competitors I swam against my whole life. So like nothing's different, right? Like just trying to be in that moment is the biggest thing that you can try and do, because it's like, I can't control my nerves, right? So it's just like, just be, just try to be. And it's hard, but I think that's the easiest way to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know, I probably didn't explain that right.
You talked a little bit about, the transition from being an athlete, and training all day and just, doing that. How has the transition been for you, just kind of coming back from that kind of environment to sort of being a normal person?
Well, I've been very lucky. I've retired twice, so I already got to practice what to do in retirement. So I don't want to say it's been easy, but gaining a new routine has been kind of fun. I don't miss eating or being forced to eat as much as I was eating back then.
Because you were eating I read somewhere 10, 12,000 calories a day.
It's too much. It was too much. Literally, I was eating around the clock. I was so tired I could barely eat. But it's like I always had my coach or my trainer basically telling me I wasn't eating enough. When you're swimming 100,000 meters a week, I can lose 5 to 10 pounds throughout a training session throughout that week. So for me, it was all about maintaining that weight. I had to stay at my fighting weight, so you will. And it was, in the earlier stages of my career, it was 185 pounds. And the last 3 Olympics, I was 195 pounds. So it's just maintaining that. It's just, because it's the optimal weight for my size with everything that we were doing in the weight room and going from land to water, and I don't want to, it's too much details there.
Yeah, well, I'm imagining, because, as one who's still struggling with the COVID-19, after the quarantine, the you're not eating enough, I'm like, oh wow, nobody's ever said that to me. So,
and as you heard me say, I just said, I think a few minutes ago, I don't like to eat now.
Yeah.
And that's because of everything that I've gone through in my career. Like, I eat what I need to, and sometimes what I want, but it's just not as fun as it once was. I don't really enjoy it. It's not fun.
Yeah. You touched on this, but you've participated in 5 Olympic Games. What motivated you to keep going back, especially after I think you first won gold in Athens, and then you kind of had a comeback, in Rio from London, like you said, you retired a few times. What kind of kept bringing you back after achieving amazing success?
Unfinished business.
Unfinished business.
For me, again, it's just their goals. The goals that I have are things that I expect to reach. And if I don't, then I'm going back to the drawing board to figure out a different way to get there. When I write a goal down on a piece of paper, like I did throughout my career, they were important to me. Those are the things that got me out of bed when I didn't want to get out of bed. Those are the things that kept pushing me on days where I felt like I couldn't take that extra stroke. So if I didn't reach them, I'm not the best person to be around. I just go on a different tear and take off. So yeah, it was easy for me to just kind of go, because there was always something that I was chasing. And I wanted to be the first Michael Phelps. I wanted to be the first to ever do something. And that was something that was always pushing me. The Spitz comparisons came in around 2004. And to be honest, I really didn't know who he was. I found out about it early. I found out about it real quick. But, I didn't want to become the second Mark Spitz. I wanted to become the first Michael Phelps. And for me, it was doing things differently, approaching things in a different way. And the longevity that I had, I give all the credit to my coach. He he put up with me for a long time. And I say that because he did put up with me. I was kind of a pain in his rear end for most of the career, but we were just so passionate about what we were doing that nothing would ever get in our way.
That's pretty awesome, not wanting to be someone else.
Yeah.
Just wanting to be the best version of you.
Yeah.
And the best that you can do. So
It's like I always get the question, are your kids gonna swim? It's not fair if they swim because they'd have to live in my footsteps, and it's not fair for them. I want them to be who they want to be. If they want to swim, yes, that's fine, but I'm not pushing my kids to get into the water and follow in my footsteps.
Yeah.
I want them to do whatever their heart desires, wherever their heart takes them. Yeah.
That's cool. Michael, we all really admire your exceptional talent in the pool, but I think we even admire more your willingness to share things that are just hard to share, And why do you think it was then important to set up the Michael Phelps Foundation, and share your stories, like what you're doing here?
Because honestly, it's easy as saying I wanted to make a difference, and I wanted to save a life. For me, everything that I'm doing now is way more important than anything that I've ever done, and way bigger than anything that I've ever done in the pool, period. Like, to be able to have the chance to save a life is a million times better than winning a gold medal. And for me, how many different ways can I try to do that? And that's what I'm trying to work on every single day, and what we're trying to work at the Michael Phelps Foundation every single day. I want to make an impact, and I want to change lives.
Yeah, it's making that difference, and like you said, it's saving a life. It's saving a life. So we're gonna jump to Q&A.
Yeah, here's some questions from y'all.
Yeah, so if you have questions, oh good, they're turning up the lights. You can see the up there the hand, and the microphones are sort of up there. So please feel free to come on up. This is your chance to ask those questions of Michael Phelps. So looks like we've got someone moving on up there, and okay. You want to go ahead?
There's two mics. There's another mic over here, too.
Yeah, there's one here, and then
there's one mic over here in the aisle right here.
Yep.
No, there's
a microphone. Yeah, you guys can go to the mic.
If you guys have a question, make sure you find a mic.
Yeah. Jump to the mic so you don't have to yell.
Hi, Mike. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and experience. It's very touching. I remember seeing your pictures of yours having cupping marks on your shoulder and your back to reduce stress or release stress and improve your Olympic performance. I wonder have you ever done this after your Olympic years? Yep. And how does it help you in gaining well-being, good health?
Yeah.
It's a very good tool, indeed.
It is. It's amazing. So I still do cupping, and I started doing acupuncture as well. So I have an acupuncturist that kind of does everything. I'm in the process of developing a pretty cool product in the cupping world, so look forward for it to come out pretty soon. But yeah, I mean, it's just something that, for me, I want my body feeling as good as it possibly can every single day. So when I was swimming, I was constantly, I would stretch for 30 minutes before every single practice and after, or I'm getting work done. So that's Graston, it's cupping, it's active release, a bunch of different things, because I want my body to feel the best when I'm asking it to do all of these things every single day. So yes, I still do a ton of recovery. I still do a ton of ice baths. I get 70 to 80 pounds of ice and throw it in the tub. So yeah, a little old school ways, but again, it's what I know, and it's what I'm used to doing. So yeah, I'm not changing it. Makes me feel good.
Thank you, Mike, and look forward to your Michael Phelps cupping set.
Thank you.
Definitely. Okay, I think we have a question over here. We'll just kind of go back and forth.
Sure. Hi. You have transitioned to now be a commentator, and we know that commentators can sometimes not be the kindest critiques of our work and you as an athlete and other athletes. How have you incorporated your perspective and your positivity into your commentaries?
It is so hard to do it. Honestly, it was one of the most challenging things that I've done. For me, I'm such a technical person, so I try to point out the technical things as much as I can. Like it's almost like the Romo side of it. Like when you're watching him call the plays, it's insane. The guy, it's like he's in Mahomes' head when he's calling the play. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. But he just sees the game in a different way. So for me, I've known Dan and Rowdy for a long time. And it's really hard trying to not like take sides, right? Like, I'm always cheering for the U.S. And it's like I can't do that when I'm on the air. So it's a new world for me. But yeah, I've always tried to break it down so you guys can see what I'm seeing or what I'm feeling in the water, because I want you guys to feel like you're in there with us and feeling it. So yeah, it's hard to put it into normal terms. Like it's hard for me to break it down. Like, I can't process it yet. But it has been a challenging thing, and it's been something that's been fun for me. Working with Tarico is incredible. He's one of the most amazing humans on this planet, and I've been able to learn a lot from him. So yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they ask me to come back for some more, but hopefully I didn't stink too bad.
No, you didn't. All right. Question over here.
Hi, Michael. I'm a swimmer. My kids are swimmers, and I'm asking you a question from my 6-year-old and my 10-year-old. So my daughter, who has just started butterfly herself, wants to know what your favorite color is.
Okay. I'm a blue guy. I wear a lot of blue.
And my son would like to know if you've ever put all 28 of your medals on at one time.
I have, yeah. But they weren't all on my neck. I had some on my neck and some on my arms. I did a shoot with Sports Illustrated right after the Olympics in 2016, and we like positioned all of them on there. But I had to have somebody come in so I could rest my arms on their shoulders in between shots, because they're heavy, and they range in sizes. Like, the smallest ones are the ones from 2004, or the biggest ones are from 2016. And they're awesome. They're so fun, but they're heavy as can be. Lugging them through the airport for like, I think a month or two was not fun. I think we broke through like 2 or 3 duffel bags because they're so heavy.
Oh my God.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
I just wanted to add, I got my Wheaties box out last week with your picture on it, and my kids opened the box and ate 8-year-old Wheaties.
Some extra protein.
5 days ago. So
Fiber. Yeah.
the things
That's awesome.
to do as a parent, you try not to be angry, but they opened my Wheaties box and ate my Wheaties. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, over here.
Hey, Michael, I'm asking this question to you as Michael Phelps, one of the greatest athlete ever, and also Michael Phelps, the father. You talked a lot about goal setting and how from the early days itself, you were always writing your goals on a sheet of paper. Is that something that came naturally to you, or is this something that your mom also helped you steer into? And now that you are a dad of 3 kids, how do you help them with goal setting? I'm asking this because I'm a father of 2 boys with no real goals to look forward to.
I mean, like, for me, I always think it's important to write them down. Like, you can put them on your phone and look at it that way, and like whatever app, this or that. But like, I'm old school. I want to see it when I get out of bed every single day. Because the days where I feel great, I know what I'm going to the pool for. And the days I feel bad, I know what I have to do to make myself take 1 step forward, right? I got to change how I'm thinking. So for me, I like to see it all. I'm a visual person. So when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, my coach, when I first started getting with Bob, he taught me the importance of writing goals down. So I would write down goals in the sport of swimming. I would break them down into 50s. So each lap, what am I going to swim? And then I have something to look at, and then I can go to the training, and I can say I need to do X, Y, and Z if I want that goal to take place, right? So I think just writing it down and trying to be as detailed as you possibly can. For me, like, I remember going back and looking at my very first goal sheet. It looked like I was writing it left-handed, but it was like, I want to win an Olympic medal, METAL. And I was like, but it's like, that's what I wanted as a little kid, right? Like I wanted to represent my country, I wanted to break a world record, and I wanted to win an Olympic medal. And I looked at that thing every day. It came true. You know, I think there's something to visually seeing it to where you buy into it and you believe that you can do it. You know, like the things that I wrote down throughout my career, if y'all would have seen any of the goal sheets that I had throughout like my later part of my career, if you guys know anything about swimming, you probably think I was crazy. But I believed that I could do it. And I knew that I knew what it would take to get there, and I knew that there wasn't another person out there that was dreaming or thinking of dreaming as big as I was. And that's it, honestly. Like there's a song for me, it's called Biggie wrote it, and it's called The Sky is the Limit. Like some of the words in there probably aren't the greatest, but like the sky is the limit, like that's the realest thing you could possibly say. It's true. I believe you can achieve absolutely anything you want, no matter what it is. And you're gonna have people along the way tell you that you can't do it. And you know what? It's really cool shoving it back in their face. It's amazing.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Okay, over here.
Michael, thank you so much for coming and joining us today. At my hospital, I teach project management and risk management, and we tell the story from the Beijing 200 fly finals when your goggles flooded.
Yeah.
And you had actually practiced swimming with your goggles flooded. When you look back at that, what was your takeaway? And more broadly, what do you think that says about planning for the unexpected? Because as everyone in this room knows, we've had 2 years of unexpecteds that we never could have thought of planning for.
Yeah, so in 2008, the 200 butterfly, as soon as I dove into the water, my goggles instantly filled up with water. So for me, at that very moment, I started counting my strokes. So I knew how many strokes I'd take my first, second, third, and fourth of my 200 butterfly over my whole entire career, because those strokes have been the same, 16, 17, 18, 19, or 16, 17, 19, 19, depending on what kind of shape my legs were in and depending on how many kicks I take off the wall. So at that very moment, I had practiced that so many times in practice that I didn't even blink. I went into autopilot. And I was like, cool, start counting strokes, hit the first wall, you're good. So I was like, all right, just trust the process, right? Like everything that I'm doing behind all of this is getting me ready for that moment. So Bob, my coach, had many different ways to try to get me prepared for anything and everything that was gonna come my way. Even from my swim cap ripping behind the block before my 200 or 4x200 free relay in 2016. My suit ripping minutes before I walk out and staying calm in order to get another suit on to be able to get out and get ready to swim. All of these things were because of things that Bob did, or all of these things happened because I was able to be comfortable and calm in the moment. And Bob literally gave me whatever I could, or whatever he could, challenge-wise, to help me get through anything, right? Like, and I'm not sure if I'm explaining that the right way. It's basically trying to control what you can control. And if something is out of your control, forget about it, right? Like, just let everything happen how it's supposed to happen. Yeah. I think that's like, but it's like preparation again. Like, none of everything that happened in my career was because I prepared more than any other swimmer on this planet. They weren't swimming on Sundays. I was, right? Like, there are so different things that I did that just gave me the opportunity to do something different. And that's where I think, you know, it was really cool going back and thinking, you know, Bob and I had no blueprint on how to become the first Michael Phelps, right? We just kind of had to go for it, trial and error, see what works, see what doesn't work, you know what I mean? So I think that's really that's the best way to approach it. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, preparation and trust the process.
I feel like such a spaz.
Yay.
Sorry.
Over here.
Hi, I have a friend who's going through depression, but her family doesn't believe in depression. Do you have any words for her?
I mean, I would say just don't give up, because she's not alone. There are people that are struggling that might not understand what depression is. You know, like I had somebody said to me recently, Like, I have to apologize to you because when I heard you say it's okay to not be okay, I laughed. But I didn't understand what that meant. He was like, I was 16 at the time, and I didn't understand what it felt like to not be okay. And now I do. So I think it's just certain people will experience things in different ways. I think the biggest thing is let her know she's not alone. Because I'm up here going through the same exact thing. And I struggle with it almost every day. Like, you'd be surprised. Like, there are some days where I feel like, yeah, we'll just leave it there. But yeah, it's scary. But, you know, I know that, again, I know I'm not alone, and I know I can reach out and ask for help. I know there are people who I can call. I can call my therapist. I can talk to my wife. I can jump in the pool. There are 100 different things that make me feel me, and that's what I've been able to learn through this process.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, over here.
Hey, thanks for coming out. I appreciate it. I think I identify with you a lot as far as having a hardened identity, right? I was named after Bear Bryant, like a football coach, right?
Sure.
Didn't plan on being on the screen with my Bama shirt on.
It's a little disarming, right? Yeah.
But, you know, even before I was playing organized, my older brother was playing organized, so we were playing, you know, and I played like 12 years organized, including a year of college. I probably wasn't mentally ready to be away from home, right? But as far as having that inevitable horizon, like eventually you're not going to swim, right? So my biggest enlightenment was transitioning that passion to my next craft after 3 other majors in software, where I found that there was a place where I could get meticulous about the details like I did in sports, right?
Yeah.
And you mentioned like you need to get your sweat in. Like I always say when I talk to folks, like it was easy for me to like beat up my body in the gym or on the field, you know?
Sure.
Like for me, that was like, this is what we do. Like,
Yeah, it's our routine.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's the deal. So what's your take on the struggle to do just another set, like in your current, with the way that you currently express your passions, what do you say, what's your take on the struggle to just do another set when that's, you know, in front of a computer or on a phone now?
It's hard. And first of all, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Sometimes it's just not possible to move forward, right? Sometimes it's just like, I need a break. I need to take a step back. I need a me day. So that's, you know, for me, when I talk about working out for me is my self-care, right? You know, like for me, that's me getting in the swimming pool and just being free, right? Like, I don't know, there's a Snickers commercial that, you know, it said the commercial, like, you don't feel like yourself, take a bite of a Snickers bar, that whole thing. So that's how I am if I don't get a workout. I'm a different human. So for me, I would say the biggest thing that I and I don't know if this is right or not, I don't know if this is what you're trying to ask. Sure. I would try to tell you to spend as much time with your self-care as you possibly can, whatever that looks like. You know, because there are so many times that life is overwhelming. And if we're not taking care of ourselves, we have no chance. You know, like for me, I have moments where my kids push my buttons so much that I just have to take a step out of the room. You know, I have to go outside, and whether it's take a walk around the block or go shoot a couple basketballs or just go sit in my office and take a few deep breaths, right? Like that's something that I have to, because I want to be the best me, and I want to give myself the best chance. So I think one thing that, and I learned to do even more during quarantine, was finding a routine and making sure that I was taking care of myself at all times. If my glass isn't filled, I can't fill up everybody else's.
Very cool. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question.
Hey, Mike. My name's Tyler. Thank you so much for being out here. Really appreciate it. This is my second time at HIMSS, and you know, one thing I've come to realize is that everybody here is a leader in one way, shape, or form. So my question to you relates to leadership in mental health. You've overcome a lot and you've achieved so much. So us as leaders, you know, we have our own issues to deal with, but everybody looks to us and asks us, hey, what is the best way forward? So my question to you is, what advice do you have to us as healthcare leaders to allow us to better lead our teams?
I think it's not being afraid to be vulnerable. You know, I think, you know, there are people that are looking for you for advice or for leadership, and you know, like I was just sharing backstage, like I did a talk to some of the Fortune 500, right? Like there were a handful or half of them there. And I was just like, you know, I was like, how come none of your leaders have stood up and said, I'm struggling with mental health, when we know, what, 1 in 4, 1 in 5 people struggle with mental health all over the world? Like, they're blatantly lying to us. You know, so I think the biggest thing is we set examples. You know, if we're struggling, it's okay to share it. You know, like I walked in from a workout the other day, and I was just kind of down, and Boomer walked up to me. Boomer's my oldest son, and he walked up to me, and he's like, what's going on? I was like, I'm not having a good day. Like, I'm having a daddy day. You know, and he knows what that means. So all he did was gave me a hug. Like, that was it, right? Like, support, encouragement. Because, you know, at times, and I've said this before today, we feel like we're all alone in those moments. So I think the more that we can show that we're not just compartmentalizing and stuffing these things down, show that we can have a vulnerable side. I think that's something that's so important. You know, vulnerable is a scary word for a lot of people. It's a pretty incredible word, though, too. I saw vulnerability in myself that changed my life. It's the reason why I'm here. So, yeah, I would just say lead by example. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, just that authentic leadership.
Yeah, and it's encouraging people to open up.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, you don't want to compartmentalize. That backpack gets heavy after a few years.
Yes.
Hi, Michael. Thank you. My question comes as a mom and as a nurse. And I have an 8-year-old son. Hi, from Zachary.
Hi. Yes.
Hi.
Please tell him I say hello.
Yeah. And I really do believe in him sharing his feelings, and I hope that he understands that we feel that way, his parents. But he'll come home and he has a tough day, and we work through it. But I'm, number one, wondering what you think parents should kind of keep an eye out for when they're trying to find out how their kids are doing. The other part of my question relates to stigma and maybe coming up with, inventing another word, because we want to actually celebrate our differences,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
We're different. We want to celebrate that.
Of course, yeah.
So with children, what kind of messaging do we need to send? What do we need to do so that that message can break down, like you said, break down?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, like one thing that I've learned with my kids is just helping them understand their emotions, right? Like ask them where they feel it in their stomach, or what do they feel? Are they angry? Are they mad? Are they sad? Are they frustrated? What are they feeling? Because as kids, they're just learning, right? They don't really fully understand everything. So if we could, like, I like talking through emotions. For me, I had a hard time understanding and identifying what emotions were growing up, because I couldn't really show them. If I showed that I was sad or depressed as an athlete for a long time, I looked at that as weakness. It's not weakness, it's who I am. So, you know, I think just being able to understand the emotions and talking through those emotions for me has done so many amazing things for my children. Like, I can't tell you, like, they're their authentic selves. And yes, kids are always that way, but like, they're free. And like, I came home and Jimmy hit me on the playground today. Okay, well, did you guys talk about it? Yes, we did. Like, you know, it's talking about it. I think that's something that's so big, so important to communicate, but also your emotions. I hope that helped. Sorry, there's a lot going on. I want to give you everything I can. But yeah, it's just, I think it's just the support, right? Like that's one thing that I didn't feel like I had through my dark times and through those times. So, and I still feel like there isn't enough support out there in the world for everybody going through their tough times. But we're in the process of making that available, and hopefully we can. I don't know. I really hope I answered that well.
Yeah. Thank you for the question. Yes.
Hey, Michael. My name is Yair, and I wanted to thank you for being both so relatable and also vulnerable. And I wanted to ask you a question from the perspective of a mentor, teacher, parent. You know, I appreciated when you shared how Bob, your coach, really knew you in ways that you yourself didn't even know and was able to push you, where your mom was supportive and encouraging and really the biggest inspiration. And then the way that you think about with your kids and not really pushing them into swimming, but wanting to support them, how do you balance both of those sides of wanting to be like Bob, your coach, and pushing, and be like your mom and encouraging and supporting as one mentor, teacher, or parent?
I mean, if my mom was forcing me to go to school, or not to go to school, sorry, educator. If my mom was forcing me to go to the pool, I wouldn't have gone. You know, like I did it because I loved it. My mom wanted me to play 100 different sports growing up. I played baseball, lacrosse, soccer, and swam. So I would go from literally one field to the next, and then the swimming pool. It was basically just to try to get as much energy out of my system as I possibly could. I still have a lot of energy to this day, so sorry. But yeah, I think that was just the you know, for me, I think if you put too much pressure on it, they're not gonna, like, kids aren't gonna do it. I don't know, like I would say you're letting them follow their dreams and whatever that looks like, right? You wanna push them, but it's like, I think it's teaching them that balance, right? Knowing that you have to do this to get to here, right? You're just teaching it. I don't know if I'm explaining this at all the right way.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
I don't want to pressure my kids, period, ever, because it's their life, and whatever they want to do, it's theirs. I'm going to be there to be supportive as I possibly can, and yeah, I'll give them a few tricks of the trade if they want to go into sports or anything competition-wise. But I always think when you really, really push your parents, or when you really push your kids, all they're going to do is stiff-arm it. They're going to give it the Heisman, and it's like, you know, I don't know. I don't even think that answers. I hope it did.
Yeah, that was good. It was good. And then, unfortunately, that has to be our last question. We could just be here all day, but Michael, it's just been such an honor having you. And
I hope
and you won a gold medal with us today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah.
Thank you, guys.
We very much appreciate your authenticity. Yes. Thank you so much. And thanks all of you for being here, and we'll see you next year in Chicago at HIMSS22. Safe travels. Thank you.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.